What is up, my beautiful D.D.D fam? It's your boy Drip, back with another video. In today's video, we got a requested Shaddoll Invoked deck profile. If anybody knows me, man, knows this deck is absolutely my baby. I love this deck so much. Like, it's insane how much I love this deck. Construct is legit bae, and Alistair Starboy, bro, he's the star of the show, man. Every time you pull up with him. A lot of people moved on to branded. Don't get me wrong. I love Aliber. Aliber's the man. But you got to respect your elders, big dog. And this deck can still compete with the big dogs. I built this deck specifically for the meta. Granted, it obviously can play against Rogue and everything too, but this list in general is built for the meta that we currently have right now in March of 2023. The build that I kind of went about with this is kind of, if you know fusions and all that stuff, you obviously know what elemental heroes are. So shout outs to my boy Jeremy. This is like an Omni hero build. This is an Omni invoked build, Omni doll build, whatever you want to call it. But there's some cards in here that I've finally get to use that I've never got to use, that I've only had in my collection. And I never really got to use because I mainly built it for the matchups that I know I'm probably going to see, and we can actually use them now. I thoroughly tested this deck online and against the meta and everything like that. This deck is really nasty. Granted, obviously, you're still fragile when it comes to Alistair himself, but Alistair is one of those engines where, like, the engine and him himself is basically hand trap bait. If he resolves, then you just win. If not, then you just play with what else you have left. Granted, this deck doesn't have as many extenders and like branded fusion, branded and them have, but then again, branded fusion, if it doesn't resolve, if they don't have fusion deployment, they basically just lose anyways. And even if they have fusion deployment, their board is subpar compared to what it normally does. So indirectly, this deck is basically like it's just branded has a little bit more extenders when it comes like branded opening esque cards type stuff. If you get what I mean. But I prefer this over branded, mainly because you're not locked into fusions and you can go certain link plays, you can go certain XZ plays if you want to. Granted, I'm not running no XZs because it's kind of harder to do that. But no. Before we get in this video, guys, please hit the like button if you haven't already. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already as well. Bell notification so you never miss an upload. Check the description for all the ways to support me. Discord, PayPal, Twitter, TikTok now. Go watch our TikToks. Patreon. Check out the Patreon for all the cool nicks and tricks you can get from being a part of the Patreon, being closer to me, pick my brain even more, and basically we can build a one-on-one relationship type deal. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this video. This is not a tournament profile. I have not taken this to a tournament yet, but so there won't be no side deck. So there's only going to be the main deck. So just be unaware of that. A lot of this is going to be standard for the most part. We got 3 Starboy, the Alistair, the man himself, 3 Meltdown, 1 Terraforming, 2 Ulti Invocation is the only way to go. Invocation, obviously, 2. This has just been the standard for a long time. Make sure we're still in frame. I'm sorry. All right, there we go. Yeah, we're still in frame. But yeah, nothing really needs to be said about that. It's been the same way for years now, years and years and years. On to the doll lineup where things get a little different. Definitely from a lot of people's lineup. If you know my lineup's always usually 8 anyways. But I run only 1 of every copy now, but because I'm running 1 secret cool tech this format. We got 1 Windy. Normally this is the one I run 2 of. 1 Squam, 1 Beast, 1 Aerial, and I dropped 1 because I'm a bad kid. Let me bend down and get it. 1 Dragon, 1 Hedgehog, 1 Falco. Literally don't understand why no one runs this card. Literally the MVP in the grind game, and this deck likes to grind and force deck to grind, so this deck thrives in the grind. So people not running Falco is hilarious to me. And then this is a proxy, but it's obviously a Windy, but this is the proxy. The last one that I'm running is Shaddoll Genius, because I'm a freaking genius. No, the Shaddoll Genius is actually really cracked. Obviously, if you know I'm running Genius, it allows me to run a specific card in my extra deck that I've never ran, but I've had the max rarity version of it, and I have yet to ever get to run it. But it gets to if you know what it is, go ahead and comment on below what the timestamp before we get there. allows me to run. My side deck allows me to run it too, but this opens up the window more. Comment down below at this time frame if you know exactly what I'm talking about. But yeah, so 3, 6, 7, 8. It gives me my 8 lineup that I like, anyways. Just know this is genius and not a second windy. Moving on to the rest. Obviously, Shaddolls. It won't be Shaddolls without Shaddoll Fusion, and I am back on the 1L for this format. I just like L and what it provides. More fusion, more opponents losing. Obviously, Dogmatika, Ecclesia's Bay. Nothing really need to be said about that. She's literally Bay, so and the engine works so good. Don't cook me for my 1 ultra rare. Accidentally when it was at 2, sold my 3rd copy at regionals, and yeah, I'm back yet. I'm a scrub. Don't hate on me, please. I'm sorry. And then I have max rarity everything, but then I have the gold rare Golden Lord, because gold rares float to the top, and he's Golden Lord, so he has to be gold. So nothing needs to be said. Then speaking of floating to the top, I want 3 gold rare Ash. No, I don't. I want the Mega 10 ones, but your boy hasn't broken down and bottom yet. But no, for my hand trap lineup. By the way, on the Golden Lord thing, I feel like since the last time I made a profile, I've watched a couple of profiles just to make sure my lists are differently than other people's and stuff. Not really that I'm trying to get inspiration. I'm just trying to make sure my lists are different. Not really the fact that they need to be different. I'm just trying to see what everybody's been doing. People, since I've stopped making profiles on this deck, everyone cut this card, and I don't understand why. And then someone commented on my video that the last Shaddoll profile I made like 5-6 months ago, and they were like talking about how like y'all, if you're probably watching this video now, then shouts to you. I can't remember your name, but you were like, man, this is a good tech. I'm going to try it on my friend. Of course, this is a good tech. My personal opinion is the best light target for construct in the entire deck. Because you don't really want to be sending Ecclesia unless you have Nadir in hand, so there's no real reason to send anything else, and we're not running Valors or anything. So, and this is just free. It enables OTKs, and it can't be targeted when you use its effect, and it's a free interruption by free sending something away. It's just too free not to run it. Then the rest of the hand traps, slash go second cards, Book of Eclipse. This should arguably potentially be Book of Moon instead of Book of Eclipse because we can't run Zeus in this deck, so there's no real way to clear the board. And this just enables like too much pressure for us to clear the board, and we're not really that good at clearing boards. We're just good at establishing like the game state in our favor, basically. So Book of Moon could potentially be Book of Moon if you're terrified of not being able to clear the board and your opponent's plussing, because you never want that. So, but this card's really nice, whether it's this card or Book of Moon. Like being able to normal summon Alistair and they chain like Imperm or something, you could chain this to book this and then still get your invocation. Not to mention too, if your opponent like books this or whatever, and you can just a lot of people forget that this is a flip summon too. So when it's flipped, it can search invocation. So there's a lot of synergy when it comes to the books outside of being able to work against Kashtira and everything else. This format, but 3 Book of Eclipse. Obviously, I said this is like an Omni Hero build, but it's an Omni Invoked Dolls, which means we're wrapping the entire deck around Super Poly. This card is just too busted not to build your deck around it as a fusion build. We can utilize it a hell of a lot more than Branded can, because their entire deck's built around light and darks, is where with our Invoked Engine and Shaddolls, we're open to every attribute in the game. So, which you'll see when we get to the extra deck. But yeah, that's it for the hand trap slash go second board breakers. 9 total. Then I am on Prosperity. Prosperity is very good, helps us dig and get into our engine pieces, and our extra deck's kind of wide open with this build, so it's really nice to run this. If you don't have Prosperities, I would probably run 1 Talents and then 2 Thrust. Those are the better. Those would work out, but I mean, if you have Talents and Thrust, then you probably have the money for Prosperity too. There's no real in between what to run in between. No real like cards to run to substitute it. And then the last 2 cards in the main is Schism and Resh. Another card that I literally do not understand why no one's running this card. This card is absolutely freaking cracked. It basically turns all your flip effects into quick effects, but not having the same speed, if that makes sense. You can use them either turn. This card keeps looping every single one of your cards. It's basically an extra copy of every single thing that's a Shaddoll monster, whether it be your extra deck or your main deck. So basically 2 Squam, 2 Rush, 2 Genius, 2 Dragon, 2 whatever, 3 Construct, everything else. It just becomes everything. And you just keep looping this. When they send your dolls to grave, you just add this back. Set, summon back, add this back. Basically, just keep going back and forth. This card's too stupid not to run, and the fact I see some Shaddoll players not running it really makes me sad for them, because I know why they're losing most of their games. Whether you use it to loop or you use it during the banish during your opponent's turn to banish another Shaddoll card and flip your flip effect face up. So like, and not to mention, a lot of people forget that Genius itself, it when you hits flip effect makes your Shaddoll is unaffected. Well, a certain Shaddoll, like monster unaffected, whatever. So it's like, it's really busted. Obviously we got Sasuke. Magistus, nothing's changed. Obviously, it's better than the Secure Gardna and Almirage route. If you're still running that in 2023, I'm sorry, but move on, bro. That's wasting extra deck slots that could be open for the other good, better utility cards. Gravity Controller's card's absolutely cracked. This card is really nasty, definitely against the Scareclaw matchup, because you just go into this and bounce the Tri-Heart back to the extra deck, and it feels really good. That's it for the links. I was trying Cross Sheet, but I realized I like fusions more. So the MVP, the best Shaddoll monster ever printed, 3 Epsilon. People running only one of this is absolutely like absurd, and I'm sorry I don't have a third secret yet. This card is the best, and I mean the best Shaddoll monster ever printed. Better than Construct. I love Construct. She's bae. But if you still think that she's better than App Cologne, that's some major copium fuck shit, bro. I love you guys. I love everybody. I definitely, if you're a Shaddoll player, bro, I love you. I love you so much. But this is hands down the best. It's a permanent negate. It can add from graveyard or deck to hand when it's sent to the graveyard. Discard a card to proc your Shaddoll cards. It's the first Shaddoll that can add from deck to hand when it's sent to the graveyard, unlike any of the other dolls. It's a permanent negate, can't be destroyed by battle, and she's chunky. So like, she thick, bro. She knows. Like when coming business, bro, like they knew we like thick chicks, bro. So obviously they gonna make her thick. She's thick, bro. 2,500. Come on now. We run 3 because of Kashtira. But sometimes even not in the Kashtira, we do burn through 3 just negating stuff permanently, because like they have your opponent from almost every deck has no real way to out stuff. And summoning this off of Shaddoll Fusion under Meltdown is absolutely nasty. Whether you like, because you could summon this, sending a Genius and a Windy, or maybe a Ariel if you need to. But moral story, have a Meltdown live, sending an Genius and a Windy under Meltdown, making this chain link 1, so everything in your chain is like protected. This is basically turns your Shaddoll Fusion into a double negate, because you're going to negate something with this, and then you're going to negate a monster with Genius, and your opponent can't do a damn thing about it because it's underneath Meltdown. They cannot activate cards or effects in response to your fusion summons, and since this is your chain link 1, everything else in your chain resolves. If you don't know that, you should definitely know that, because Invoked's been invoked for years now. So being able to get a double negate off of one card, Shaddoll Fusion, is absolutely busted. And it's just absolutely disgusting. Like, I love this card. It's just nasty. Definitely paired with Meltdown. Moving on to the rest of fusions. The second best, Construct's Bay. There's nothing really said about that. Clears monsters that are huge because it can destroy monsters by card effect that are special summoned off of her effect, basically. But yeah, Construct is Bay. You don't need more than 2. If they rip one with Kashtira, then they're weird. Even if they do, we're still golden, because we can loop all of our monsters with Rush. So, 1 window. If you want to play more than 1, then it's just Copium at that point. This is not your Wincon. This is your Wincon. App Clone is your Wincon, not Window. Window is not your Wincon. App Clone is. Window can win you games. She has win in the name, but she is not your win con. She is your stall con, to stall the game, to try to force it in your favor. But if this gets banished, it doesn't matter. As long as it's face up, you can just bring it back off aerial, and then you have it in rotation again. Then you can just keep summoning it off of Resh. And then if you guessed right, yes, we are running Chicana. I have the ultimate rare Chicana for years, and I've never gotten to use it. And now I get a chance to use her. This card is absolutely disgusting. Absolutely freaking disgusting. You definitely, when it's paired with it also makes your Shaddolls better outside of like obviously pitching it, but it makes Hedgehog better. Before, Hedgehog was only really good at getting you a Shaddoll fusion or an L Shaddoll fusion, but now your Hedgehog is absolutely lit, because if you summon her, you go like Nadir Servant, pitch App Clone, search the Hedgehog, and then you pitch the Hedgehog off of the App Clone effect. Add the you can add the aerial if you want to, and aerial, it turns Chicana into a double interruption on your opponent's turn, because you negate something, negate a monster or whatever, and then you can pitch a Shaddoll card from hand, in which you'll pitch the aerial, and the aerial becomes a triple D.D Crow on your opponent's turn. So you get more value out of your cards. And if you want to ask how we're making this outside of the Genius, even if you don't have access to Genius, you can run cards in your side deck to turbo this out. And on top of that, this is live during your Trap Tricks matchups, because they're Earth, and you can use Fenrir too to make this. So you can just set a Shaddoll, Super Poly, make this, and then plus off harder, because then now you're lit. Because if you have this and you took their if you're playing against Cash, for an example, and they went full combo, you took their Fenrir. Now they have no Fenrir. Now if they try to use their Rise Heart, you could just negate it with this when they try to banish your stuff. So yeah, it's really nice. Shikanaga's gross. I'll only double check on their ruling. Yeah, you can. I was making sure it didn't send to the graveyard for cost. If it did, then you wouldn't be able to do it, because a Rise Heart. But no, a Rise Heart makes it to where there's no graveyard, which means if it sends for cost, it wouldn't be able to resolve it. Since it does not send to graveyard for cost, you can still just pitch it, and it'll just go to the banish battle. But yes, Chicana is absolutely disgusting. One Macabo, same thing with like Winda type esque thing. This is not your win con. You want to summon this if you have nothing else to summon, or you summon it mid game when you simplify the game state and you just win. The invoked engine is your secondary engine. The main engine is the dolls. The dolls is where you win the games, and invoked is where you like keep the you slow down the pace to your favor. One of Goity's to get over big stuff into OTK, even though it goes kind of go against what I just said, that you don't win with your invoked engine. But still, you catch my drift. It's good at clearing boards, and it's really nice too, having it on board where when they're trying to summon and you're just popping shit when they're special summon monsters. One MVP against Kashtira. This card is absolutely nasty. Just booking their crap on summon is really nice. Not much needs to be said about that. Raijin is Raijin. One Kaliga, because this is another Esque Wincon, because setting this up and then sitting on Schism is really nice, because it forces him to burn resources to out this. By the time they out this and then you make a window, they probably can't win from that, and you just win next turn. One flex spot is Purgatrio. This could be anything. Really, I just opted for this because it's a fire, which means I can also take my opponent, if I'm playing against Kashtira, I can take their Shangira if they make it, or if they're their main deck Rise Heart if they have it. The only issue I really don't like about this is if you have it on the board against Kashtira for longer than a turn, they can potentially go Big Eye and steal this, and then overlay with it because it's a 7. So that's my only issue with this. But this could be any copy of anything. But I know some of y'all are gonna be like, all right, cool, that's gonna be my second window. Bruh, you don't need a second window. If you want to make this anything, you can make this the water one, or you can potentially make this a second Macabo. I'll be okay with you making this a second Macabo if you want, or a Link 2 if you want. If you like want to make a Dark Charmer, or you want to make it a Earth Charmer. If you want to make it the Earth Charmer, because then you can use your Genius and then something else to make Earth Charmer and steal your opponent's Fenrir, or you can send the link away the Chicana, and then so like, or you can do a bunch of things, or you can make this cross sheep. So those are your options on that. Or you can just keep it. It's really nice at clearing boards because it does do piercing damage. A lot of people going into time will put all their stuff in defense position, and then just summoning this and then attacking with piercing is really nice because he can get kind of huge. So last card in the extra deck is Intis. You never really make it, even though it technically is a super poly target. Maybe if you're playing against like Punk or something, you can super poly this because they have XEs and Synchro. So don't get it twisted. You could, if you're playing against Punk, they have XE and Synchro. You just summon this in the extra monster zone. After you super poly their shit, link it away for Gravity Controller and pop a card with Dentist and Graveyard. So this can be a super poly target too. So don't get it twisted. But that's it for the extra deck. That's it for the actual deck itself. I love everything in this deck, card for card. The only thing I potentially would change would be the Purgatrio, but for right now I'm liking it because you have Ash. Your opponent has, everybody has Ash this format, so it's always live. So, and he does piercing damage and he can get really huge. So, but nothing else really need to be said about that. But I hope you like the deck profile, guys. I know you all requested it, so I wanted to give it to you. On top of that, I just love Shaddolls in general, so it's my baby. It's my favorite deck. So obviously, I wanted to update it since it's been like 6 months since I've updated it or something around that area. I did like a bestial one or something, but it didn't really count. But with that being said, guys, please like, comment, subscribe. Check the description for all the ways to support me. Be on the lookout for upcoming videos, future videos. I have a couple of getting ready to roll out here. And I love you guys so much. It's your boy, Brendan, a.k.a. Drip, signing out till next time. Peace. Good dueling, my guys.